Welcome to Season 3 of On the Mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach, and you're listening to Business Basics. This podcast is dedicated to helping you grow your business. The first 2 seasons was a reboot of my podcast, and we're still learning from my mistakes. As I entered 2019, I grew and really got some depth to my podcast. In Season 3, we're going to revisit those episodes and talk about the growth. What good is a podcast if we're not learning and growing, right? I said it in Season 2, and I'll say it now. There's value in learning from other people's mistakes. We get caught up in wanting things to be perfect and just right, as we should as entrepreneurs. But here's the thing. Entrepreneurs are perfectly imperfect, and that's the fuel to our resiliency. We recognize our flaws and build on them to make ourselves better, stronger, and forces to be reckoned with. This episode may seem a little strange for a business podcast, but I assure you, it is not. We can learn a lot from other businesses. As an entrepreneur, you want to avoid email scams. You want to ensure everything you promise your customers, you will do it. Take a listen. Welcome back to another episode of Business Basics. You're on the mic with Dr. H, the Global Mentor Coach. And listen, I want to talk about an article that MarketWatch actually just posted today. It's really, I just don't even understand. The article is entitled, Feds Arrest Student Debt Relief CEO who allegedly scammed borrowers out of $28 million. Borrowers thought his companies were handling their debts. I can't even begin to tell you where or how this is. Listen, when you're in business, scams are just not the way to go. And you've got to make sure you do everything you're supposed to do. A woman in the summer 2017, she works for the VA hospital. A VA hospital employee discovered that she hadn't made a payment on her student loan since December of 2015. That's 2 years almost, despite sending roughly $3,000 during that period to this man's company, Ameritech. They were supposed to be managing her debt. A man in Erie, Pennsylvania got a call from his bank reporting a bounced transaction. Ameritech had withdrawn $207 from his account a few weeks after a rushed conversation with a company representative who convinced him to electronically sign several documents based on the belief they would help reduce his student debt. Brandon Frere, the chief executive of Ameritech and 2 other companies, engaged in the student debt relief business because, it is a business. They were allegedly training representatives to push customers to exaggerate their family size in the hopes of receiving more favorable student loan terms. Wow. He also allegedly attempted to withdraw money held in escrow by customers, transfer millions of dollars of the company's money into his own accounts, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of company money on travel, cars, and other items. All in all, prosecutors believe they have collected $28 million from student loan borrowers seeking relief over the course of 4 years. $28 million in 4 years. And these people, these borrowers who thought they were getting help, nope. And in that time, paying this man's companies, their balances on student loan debt is just growing. He was arrested last week at San Francisco International Airport, where he was on his way, get this, to Cancun, Mexico, with $3,900 in cash, 5 blank checks from his businesses, 2 blank checks from his personal account, his social security card, and 10 credit cards and gift cards, among other items.
On the same day he booked his ticket to Cancun, a few days before he left, he withdrew $400,000 from accounts associated with the companies. Of that, $179,000 was transferred to his personal account, and the rest went to lawyers and family members. He has been released from jail on a $3 million bail. It's very interesting. I'm not even gonna say it's an interesting case. It's just interesting to me. It's always fascinating, interesting to me how people are just so creative when it comes to scamming people. It's just, you have this so much thought into it. Just do business the right way and you can still make money. You can still make money. People do it all the time. And it's sad. I'd like to see what the government is going to do to help curb student debt, because all it's doing is climbing, and a lot of it has to do with these student loan scams. They have lots of them, lots of criminal complaints, and they've only increased over the years. And it says that the article goes on to say that the Federal Trade Commission and some state attorneys general have been working to crack down on companies like this. They prey on struggling borrowers confused about their options. But there's not so much. There's only so much that they can do. But it comes to a point that it's like Persis Yu. She's the director of Student Loan Borrower Assistance Project at the National Consumer Law Center. It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole, and that's so unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Companies would allegedly collect advance fees of $600 to $800 to prepare and submit documents for borrowers interested in government repayment and forgiveness programs. And I'm just going to tell you straight out the gate, if you have student loan debt, just go directly to whoever is managing your student loans, period. Do not use these middleman companies. Because these companies, they're also charging fees ranging from $49 to $99 for a financial education membership program. And they're not transparent about the fee structures. The stuff is just kind of mixed in here, there, everywhere. It's convoluted. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. It's fees on top of fees. And, it's insane. Student debt is probably at $1.5 trillion, I believe. And that's 44 million people. 44 million people in the United States are bogged down with student debt, totaling $1.5 trillion. If you don't think that that's like a magnet for this type of business, you're wrong. And that's what's happening. And it's sad that people are preying on other people's debt like that and increasing debt. And it's a problem. The best way to avoid the scams, I'm telling you, go directly to whoever is holding your loan and work out an agreement. Do your best, put it in deferment, try to get income, get repayment plans based off of your income. But the main thing is you have to know who holds your debt. Who holds your debt? Sallie Mae years ago sold off a lot of student loan debt to, oh my goodness, I can't think of who it was. First, it was the U.S. Department of Ed. Then they gave it to Sallie Mae, and Sallie Mae has they sold it to Navient. But you should be getting information on who has your loan, who's servicing your student loans. It is very sad and unfortunate. I don't know what's going to happen with these people. It'll be interesting to follow this case. But listen, I'm telling you, when it comes to these businesses and when you're starting a business, especially when it's a service where you are helping with debt relief, this is huge, not just with student loan debt, but there are lots of people out there helping with credit card debt and all of these different things. There's companies out there will help you with your credit reported and credit agencies and this. Do your research. There's nothing greater than let the buyer beware. And I know that this is a show for business basics, but I'm telling you from the perspective of, if you are a business owner, you've got to think from the perspective of your customer. They're doing research. Customers are doing research more and more. And as situations like this occur, you're going to find this more and more. People, let the buyer beware is huge. People are really kind of they're over the fraudulent, all of this stuff, the identity theft. People are over it these days. They're getting away from a lot of middleman stuff. So if you're looking at becoming a middleman, you want to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do it the right way. And, make sure you listen, you cross every T, dot every I, but think about your end user, your customer. And I just want it's just an ethical decision. This is just an ethical issue. You don't want to, it's sad, but there are people out there who do prey on other people. And all that does is contribute to the problem that we have in the U.S. is people not having enough money to pay their debt. Student loan debt is insane. $1.5 trillion, over 44 million people. So as a business person, why would you want to contribute to that? So think about your business model. Think about how you want to go forward. How can you help alleviate and relieve the problems that people have? Especially as it relates to student loan debt. This is an issue. So you want to think about, what are your consumers thinking? What are they thinking about? And what are they thinking about when they're thinking about what they're thinking about? You've got to get into the mind of your consumer, your customer, and figure out how you can be a support and help to them, solve that issue for them. Even if it's just educating them. It's a great marketing tip when you can just educate your customers on stuff, because it creates an awareness and it builds trust. So just a little something there for you as you start navigating in your own business. You want to know how how things are going, what's going on in the landscape, in the marketplace, what's happening, who's doing what. You've got to know what's happening in business. Know what's happening in your industry, because that is the key. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Business Basics with me, Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. If you like this episode, if you like this series, make sure you share it with others and support it. This episode, this series, this podcast, we take monetary donations. So please make sure you support it financially, support it by sharing it on your social media, sharing it, sending it an email, spread the word and get other people involved in listening to this episode, listening to this podcast. You're on the mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach, and have a great day and keep doing business the right way.
Surprisingly, I wasn't too close to the microphone this time. However, you can still hear every breath. I purposely exhaled to express my disappointment. However, you want to be careful with this so it is not a distraction. You also want to come across professionally. Also, there's entirely too much silence. There's painful dead silence meant for emphasis. Remember, everyone is not watching your podcast. Most people are listening. While they may infer there's a look on your face, you have to think about how it comes across on audio. Thanks for listening to this episode of Business Basics. This season's episodes will build on seasons 1 and 2 to teach some business fundamentals to help you define and strengthen your brand while learning from my podcasting mistakes from day one. Go ahead and like and share this podcast and spread the word about Business Basics. I sincerely appreciate your support and your listening ear. If there are topics you'd like me to cover, or if you need a business coach, email me at info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, thanks for tuning in with me, Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light. Until next time.